SVC Media.
Welcome to the iGaming Daily Podcast, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market.
Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of SBC iGaming Daily Podcast, the marketing edition. iGaming Daily is presented by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. I am joined with fantastic Warren, who we already know from our previous episodes, and Natalia, who I managed to work with very shortly when she brushed with iGaming industry. I started to follow her, and I'm ever so impressed with her SEO knowledge and the work she's doing for SEO. So I'm very happy she agreed to join us. Lady and gentlemen, please introduce yourself, and then we jump into our topic.
Hi, Ivana. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone who's listening. I'm Natalia. I specialize in international SEO. And as Ivana mentioned, I had a brief experience with iGaming specifically. And now I have a wider experience. Anything international is my kind of game.
So basically iGaming, because we're very international.
Exactly. Overlapping a lot with what I do for any other type of client, because obviously scaling is unbelievable in iGaming industry as well.
Exactly. And Warren?
Hi, Ivana. Thank you again for the invite. Super happy to be here again. And hello, everyone listening. So my name is Warren. I've been doing SEO for 13 years now, and I've worked with quite a number of industries, finance, tech, and lately iGaming for the last 6 years or so. Pretty overall knowledge in SEO, tech, content, off page. So yeah, quite an interesting topic ahead as well. So looking forward to get into it.
And I'm Ivana Flynn, and I'm your host for this episode. Today we are going to be talking about the horrible things that happen to us and why Google doesn't rank us better. I titled the episode, Does Google Hate My Website, or Why Am I Not Ranking Better? And that's why I invited Natalia as an expert across industries, just to give you peace of mind that this keeps happening to everyone. And Warren, because he's more from iGaming, and this is happening a lot in iGaming. It is more evergreen topic. If you are listening to us for a while, you know that we like to do evergreen topic and then very trending topic. So we like to keep you informed very much and educated in SEO. Now, my very first opening question, what is the usual reason that you encounter throughout your careers that websites are just not ranking that good?
I can start with that for sure. I mean, mostly I would say it comes down to a technical issue of some sort on a website. It could be something that is quite serious, like accidentally blocking Googlebot. So it has happened a few times in my career, and it's quite funny when that happens, because it's not immediately the first thing that you would typically check. You're typically checking SEO specific things. Canonicals, are they set correctly? Is your page being indexed? Is your content fine? Was like last thing that you check is typically the obvious thing. But that has happened quite, more than it should have happened, because it's an obvious thing. And then also when it comes to indexation, some websites are typically, they have heavy JavaScript. They're very bloated website, a lot of useless pages that are not really there for the user and which get little to no traffic. And eventually sort of that slows down the whole system, that slows down the whole website. You face issues with server response times, DNS related issues, and typically those things are where I would go first in order to sort out those types of issues. Like tech is the foundation of any SEO activity that you're doing. So once tech is sorted, then you need to go into your content strategy, your off-page strategy. What are you doing there? Are you just, copying competitors? Are you offering something unique? And there we get into more of the nuance of marketing itself, so to speak.
Don't worry if you didn't understand half what he said with server request and all that. We'll break it down into smaller words for people that are not SEO in heart. And Natalia, what do you usually face that is not just iGaming? What are the issues that are like, yikes, this is why you're not ranking?
I mean, I love Warren's response, because he's tackled all of those kind of things you go and check in a big amount, but to kind of add something slightly different. Sometimes the most obvious thing for an SEO is such an opposite to a developer. As Warren said, the technical is typically the one to blame. But especially if you have developers that never worked with any SEO in the past, they might do something you haven't even imagined. I had this client recently, and it's an interesting one because it's a website that operates in whole Europe. So they translated their website to 20 languages, I believe. And they were just not ranking in any of the other languages in the base one. And they were like, what's happening? Do we have indexing problems? And turns out it was crawling problems because the language selector was just not crawlable for Google. So what's the smallest fix turned out to be amazing outcome as it comes to results, because as soon as Google saw all the language versions properly, it really started ranking very quickly. So it's the most spectacular things that can happen is actually technical SEO obstacles that make it impossible for Google sometimes to even realize the websites are there. And I used the term that I used for the first time. Instead of orphan pages, they were actually orphan sites because the whole website was orphaned to Google. And I thought, wow, that's an impressive quick fix and such an amazing outcome as well.
How did you identify that? I mean, I don't think it would cross my mind to check there. And it is a issue I've seen as well in past, but it's like months of looking and it's like, this. So how did you come up with that? How did you actually thought that this might be the issue?
This is the benefit of working in international SEO, because I've seen similar issue in the past. But in this case, it was quite an obvious one because they need to put a pop-up every time a user changes a language because they are a regulated industry and they had to give like a disclaimer. And I went through this path to actually understand how you navigate between languages because I wanted to check a couple of language versions. And I was like, a hashtag, not a URL. And that's what got me checking. So it was actually, there was thinking, intelligent thinking behind it. It's just not SEO thinking. So there was a reason for it. It wasn't just a screw up. But just navigating through the website, they gave me the big hint.
I would say analytical thinking is SEO thinking. When you are SEO, it sounds like a part of marketing, but we actually cover all of the marketing because anyone can screw up, including devs. And then you are the janitor that needs to come and clean up. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Absolutely. Mopping every day. That's my job. This is in SEO.
Exactly. But this is where I see a lot of issues is the compliance or having some regulations for a certain region. And that's where lots of hiccups happen, just like blocking Google bots, because when you have, let's say, a territory of, let's say, Germany, and you are regulated there, yet you cannot let anyone outside of Germany for iGaming visit your website, you block everyone outside of Germany, including Google bots, right? Because bot is usually coming from America. It's not a native German speaker. Doesn't think like, yay, I'm coming to visit this website and I'm from Baden-Baden. So this is where I think when there is anything, you need to really align with your SEOs. We had this issue actually several times, and we created a tool. We joined Google Search Console APIs, and it was giving us every 12-hour a ping in our Slack to tell us like Google bots are not entering. And we gave them several pages. So if you are listening to this and you many times see something like this happening, consider building your own in-house tool to check the Google bots. Yeah, so technical things are huge. Can you share, Warren, any SEO horror story that you've seen that really was technical and drop you in rankings or stop the website ranking? Like Natalia told us about this language switcher.
What you mentioned with sort of blocking Google bot from accessing the site, that has happened on a few websites we've managed, because essentially you're playing a bit with DNS rules and sometimes you're blocking more than what needs to be blocked. I think the one that sticks with me most was actually an hreflang error where the country code was wrongly implemented. So we wanted to target a specific country, and instead we went with the abbreviation of another region, which was very similar. So we were sending Google signals that, hey, we want to rank in this country. And we're wondering, why is our page ranking like 97 or the pages are not indexed at all? And then checking those hreflangs, because when you're checking Search Console, you see Google can index this page. There's literally nothing wrong with the page. And then when you dig a bit deeper, you're figuring out that you're telling Google, okay, you need to show this website in a particular place, but we're sending signals for another way. And when we fix that, actually, then suddenly Google is picking up those signals like almost instantaneously. So we had like one hreflang fix, And suddenly we were on page 1, page 2 for a number of the pages we were actively working for, because in the meantime, we didn't stop building content, we didn't stop building backlinks, and we were getting traffic. So Google was getting the signals, but we were instructing Google, don't show the website here. We actually want to show it at another place that's completely unrelated. So that was, in retrospect, that is hilarious. But it was really frustrating at the time until you pick up, because it was such a minor, code incident that it's easy. Even if you're looking at it, you won't see it immediately.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you realize right away, because you're looking at it, the hreflang is there. And if it's just one letter, you might just not realize right away.
Exactly. And it made sense when you look at it. Then when you go into Aleida Solis on her website had a hreflang builder, and I think I was testing on that, and that's where I noticed the mistake. It was quite hilarious. It's like a moment of realization. Oh, that's basic.
Thank you, Aleida. Once again, Aleida for SAFE. Well, there are lots of good free tools that can help us check all of these things. So if you're an SEO, Aleida Solis' website is one of them. But I'm sure you can share other tools that'll help you navigate through SEO technical issues. Which tools are your faves?
Well, I have to say Google Search Console. It's number one, especially now with the crawling stats that you can actually learn way more than in the past. And I don't know how about you, but for my clients, it's really hard to get server logs. So if I wanted to do server log analysis, I have very limited possibility to do that. So this Search Console crawl stats is definitely an interesting one, but not for hreflang. They've deprecated the report on international targeting. So this has to be done with external tools.
Yeah, but Google Search Console, bread and butter to us all.
Search Console is the first space. It's they're deprecating quite a lot of tools. Even the disavow tool is on its way out. I mean, the default to me is always comes back to Screaming Frog as, a very powerful tool that is, I think, underutilized, because the moment you get people who know how to code some JavaScript and write some scripts, suddenly Screaming Frog can, get 100 times better. So it's, Natalia mentioned server logs. If you have access to developers in the team as well, that's an amazing place to look at potential issues on your site as well.
Good. I absolutely agree. And Screaming Frog is just so cheap as well when you think how much it can save you. I think it's an essential tool for absolutely any SEO. I would say most of the technical issues we see with new releases or migrations. Do you have any cool horror story of migrating or release that just went so wrong and you want to tell us so people listening to this will think of it next time they're releasing or migrating? Because those are my two big points, like, oh my God, we're releasing. Oh my God, we're migrating. And I love when they tell me, we're not migrating, we're just changing.
We've heard this one before. Yeah. One horror story I have, maybe to share something, first-hand experience. It was migrating a .NET website, and I prepared this beautiful, redirect plan manually, hundreds of thousands of URLs. Obviously, there were some patterns, but I was at that time at my career, I didn't understand that I could use a syntax to to take multiple URLs and just redirect them through a path. I was doing it one by one. And it turns out that .NET websites have got a limit on number of redirects you can put in the web config file. And I did not know that at the time. So it turns out that all my manual work to put a beautiful Excel file that accounts for every single URL was such a waste of time, both for me and for the developers. And that's how I learned the hard way. You should absolutely automate any patterns you can find in the URLs and do it by folders or even more so. And now with ChatGPT, it's just so easy to find very quick patterns in the URLs and basically identify 10 lines of redirects instead of thousands, because they really overlap in so many ways. There's logic behind them, basically. So yeah, never manual redirects anymore if possible.
I think this is a fantastic place to mention how you use an AI to make your life easier. ChatGPT is absolutely here for this. And I love that you mentioned it. And talking about horror stories, I think we should release this around Halloween. But Warren, do you have anything from migration that absolutely just rocked your SEO world and you cannot shake that one off? Because I have. In my previous job, before iGaming, I was migrating a website and I accidentally put no index on all pages. And it took me months to realize the client was complaining, and I was like, yeah, but everything is okay. And I was so sure that it couldn't be in a code. I just like arrogantly checked a few things, and it took me a month to realize. I was like, yeah, but there was a test. So I completely had to lie. And now every time it goes wrong, no index is my first thing to check. I know it's absolutely crazy basic, but I missed it for a month, people.
But it happens. I mean, the one story that I have, it was a big migration as well, platform change and URL structure change. All the redirects and everything were correctly implemented. But then when the release version was pushed into production, the QA version had no index in it. So the no index got also pushed into production, and Google kind of gives you a bit of a grace period. So the website was still showing up for the first 3 or 4 days after launch. And then suddenly the whole website, including all language folders, were completely out of index for all countries. So there was the no index tag there that was there in testing, but which got pushed out to production. So again, you're testing the website, everything seems to be working fine. You're not really checking how Google is reacting to the new website during testing. And then you push it in testing and you forget that one line of code. So that's all it took.
I'm very happy it happened to other people.
It does. But thankfully it was a relatively fast recovery. So the moment you remove that no index and you request indexation of the top pages in your site, then Google sort of returns you back to where you were quite fast. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Well, that's very good. Very good. And just not to be on a technical side, lately we had lots of releases from Google on that cleaning parasite and March spring cleaning with, not liking links and not liking content and not liking anything. This is, I think, another big reason why websites are, I'm not saying not being indexed at all, but not ranking better. Have you seen any of those impacting your work?
I think we touched on an interesting thing, Ivana, just now, because you said maybe not indexing, but ranking. And I feel like they're more and more intertwined, and more of the websites that are low quality that I happen to have access to. Maybe they're not my recurring clients, but they are projects I was exposed to at some point and I still have good Search Console access. I see more and more of indexing issues. I feel like the threshold for Google has changed there. So whatever they're cleaning on the ranking level, I think on the indexing level, they are also becoming more and more picky, basically. So I think sometimes ranking is not just the only problem anymore, which makes our work harder. And I feel like quality is becoming issues for these projects I've seen. And I wouldn't say they are bad websites. I'd say they're just not SEO upworked. They're just websites that never had SEO as the first channel in mind. So they're not investing in it.
I know, and a lot of people still think that SEO can be just turned on and turned off anytime they want to. Now we have a website and we want to rank, turning on SEO, tomorrow position 1. And those expectations, I think, needs to be mitigated. And that's one of the reasons we have this podcast. Warren, have you seen any impact of either the parasite cleanup or the AI? We talked about this. That was our first podcast, was the AI cleanup and the expired domains. Have you seen any impact?
I mean, I still see results that are using parasite SEO. So the cleanup wasn't complete, but Natalia touched upon the point of quality as well. And I think most people also assume who are not in SEO that we're working alone. So it's a lot of websites who are trying to compete for the same keywords. So you need to also be better than your competition. It's not that you just are doing good SEO for Google and for your, creating a good page for your customer, but what are you doing in comparison to your competitors? Because they're not sitting idle while you are optimizing your page and building backlinks. They might be doing something else. And I think that is often forgotten as well. Even when we look at what is quality content, to me, how Google assesses it is as well, how is your site content compared to your competitors' content? And I think looking into what others are doing better than you, if you cannot break to page 1, then there must be something missing. If you think your content is top notch, if you have good backlinks, maybe your competitor is also doing something else. And I think with all the changes that Google is going through, it's become much harder to identify specific things that competitors are doing, because if you just look at surface level, you're going to see more of the same typically. But it's become a very competitive industry. At this point, SEO is a very mature kind of practice, right? It's not how it used to be 10 years ago when there were 50 SEOs. Now we have hundreds and hundreds of SEOs all doing mostly good work. So naturally, it's going to become much harder to even get to position 1. I like to compare it to Formula 1, right? So there are the best drivers out there, and the difference between the best driver and the one who comes last is so minuscule. But, sometimes that is what makes it different. You might have, think of a great idea which gives you a competitive edge, and, that's what is going to take you to position 1 sometimes. And take a chance, run tests, take a risk. Otherwise, you won't get to position 1.
That was a very beautiful analogy to close our podcast. I'm just going to very quickly summarize. If your website is not ranking very well, look into your technical issues. That is the first place. Review your content and backlinks. That is like no-brainer. And as well, stay on top of changes that are going on with Google and with your competitors. If you want to win in this extremely difficult and saturated industry, and this extremely difficult thing as SEO is, I don't even know. Are we marketeers? Are we just wizards? You need to be on top of your game. And one way to help you stay on top of your game is listening to our podcast. Thank you very much, Natalia. Thank you, Warren. And I hope you have enjoyed our podcast.
Thank you for listening to today's iGaming Daily podcast, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News Network or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.